Okay, part three, and this should be our final part. The Deepwater Horizon, you all should be familiar with. This happened in your lifetime. In 2010, this is when you had the oil well blowout in the Gulf of Mexico. It was extremely hard to contain and fix because it was a mile down deep into the ocean. 11 people were killed on the actual oil platform. It was it was the worst disaster oil spill in this country by far. Um, because you basically couldn't work down there at the bottom of the ocean because humans couldn't go down there. It was too deep. And so that first picture up there is showing your oil spill coming out of the well. When it exploded, it just gushed all of that oil out 24/7. And so ultimately it was about 200 million gallons. It took about 6 months for it to really get sealed up. They had to send robots down there to seal the well. So it was a really bad disaster for the Gulf of Mexico, and the tourist industry suffered, the fishing industry, the shellfish industry, and it's still recovering even today. Some effects on wildlife that you can see during an oil spill. Obviously, when the oil coats birds' wings, they drowned because it's too heavy for them to fly. The oil is so toxic on the skin and shells of the turtles that they just deteriorate away. And then the immediate effects of the fish kills. There are several attempts to contain oil spills, specifically this one in the Gulf of Mexico. You have oil skimming boats that try to skim off the oil. You have containment booms that try to contain it. None of these things were highly effective with that particular oil spill. You can have dispersants to break up the oil. However, we found that in the case of the Gulf oil spill, those dispersants were highly toxic, and people that were on the crews of the boats around this area started getting very, very sick. And had their own problems because they were breathing in all of those contaminants. So that didn't really work. The best way to clean up spills, even though it takes a long time, is of course bioremediation. And that's when you have your marine microorganisms that are eating up the oil. And these are just some images of, the oil setting, this is like on fire that they had to put out because it is combustible. These are just bags and bags of dead birds. You have different types of sea life and sea animals coated with oil. So the big question that I ask you is, why do we still burn fossil fuels for our energy? That we see so many disadvantages of all of this, and health effects and human effects and land and habitat loss and pollutants in our water, killing everything. Why do we still do fossil fuels? And it's because they're cheap. The infrastructure is in place and we have them. And so it's a very cheap way to provide energy because they do not use full market pricing. Now, if we were to add in all of those hidden costs like health effects and pollution effects, then obviously it would be much more expensive. But as we've talked about before, those hidden costs are not brought up into the price of gas and the price of oil. So that's just a little bit of fossil fuels. I hope you guys listen to this, watch those few videos that I gave you, and that will help with the chapter and understanding a little bit more. We will speak again, and I'll do another screencast videos on the next lecture, which will probably be on mining and some maybe alternative resources next week. I would like to know some feedback on plate tectonics. So if you get a chance, if you want me to possibly post some lecture notes in more detail with me talking about plate tectonics, I will certainly do so if I hear from you. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.